Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sports Card Advantage podcast. This is episode 57, being recorded on Saturday, April 30th, 2022 at 9:03 p.m. As always, joined by the man sitting in the other chair, Mr. Bunk. What's going on, buddy?
What's up, man? Just working on my sunburn.
Working on your sunburn. Get that SPF 550 going there for you.
I have to.
Yeah. All right. So, as usual, Sports Card Advantage podcast business to start. We have a special guest today. This is actually, we're going to drop in a previously recorded interview with Mike Giacephi from Sports Cards Nonsense. We had a fantastic conversation with Mike. So, for those of you that are new to the podcast, tune in and stick with us till the end. We'll play the interview. About a 45-minute conversation with Mike. Talked about all things across the hobby. So fantastic interview. Really great to finally get him on the pod and get a chance to talk to him. Also, we're still running our giveaway. In order to enter, all you have to do is go to Apple or Spotify, leave a review, take a screenshot, and send it to us, info@sportscardadvantage.com. We're probably going to run this for another couple weeks and then announce a winner. Prizes are either a VIP pass to the National, a $200 slab, or a $200 break credit. Pretty simple, should take 30 seconds. Feel free to drop us a review on Apple or Spotify and then send us that screenshot. Any Sports Card Advantage podcast business from you, sir?
No, I screw up the letters. That's all you.
Okay, fantastic. Follow us on social media, Sports Card ADVTG on Twitter and Instagram. I keep saying it every week. Hopefully this week that'll change. Trying to get some content rolling here and start posting some more stuff as we continue to roll out. Also, website is live, sportscardadvantage.com. Some awesome tools there for you. We have a sports card alarm that you can input any eBay link and you can set up an alarm to remind you via text or email of a closing auction, and then sports card calculator, or if you're buying and selling cards, you can calculate profits, losses, etc. eBay, off eBay, calculates all the percentages and taxes and everything else for you. I think that's it. We're going to get into the episode. We got a couple things to talk about before we go to the interview. NFL draft. What are your thoughts?
Boring. All offensive linemen and defensive players, which I could care less about as far as the hobby.
Yeah.
They're the autographs you don't want to pull. But I guess some of these top guys, and we can discuss this in the top 10, they'll initially get a pump from the teams. You and I were having a conversation. We looked at some of like the Fugazi products out, like Leaf and Sage and Bowman University. So some of those guys all got bumps day after, since those products were already on the market. But otherwise, I mean, other than and I'm sure you'll tell me about all the 6 wide receivers that you're going to try to draft in fantasy this year. What is there to be excited about?
Yeah, I completely agree, and it's going to be really interesting with one quarterback going in the first round. How much this draft is going to impact hobby prices for next year. As usual, any products, the FOMO, the quick bumps, people trying to make quick flips of guys that got drafted, especially some of the bigger name offensive players, or Kenny Pickett or some of those guys. Of course, those are going to bump up for the next week or two. And then after that, I don't think you're going to see a 2022 legit football product out for a while. But there's
Can't
nothing.
even roll out 2021 products.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not even thinking 2022.
yeah, National Treasure comes out this week. Prism got pushed back again into June. So, that's going to be delayed. And, we'll be lucky if we see 2022 product by the end of the year for this class. But at the same time, if you break it down and you start looking at how this breaks down, you had one quarterback in the first round, you had a couple go in the third, and then Howell is the only other name that people have heard of go in the fifth. And I mean, other than Pickett, who will probably jump in and potentially beat Trubisky out for the start, none of these guys are going to play. Actually,
Desmond Ritter's not, right? I guess he could.
I mean, he's competing against Mariota, so you have to figure Ritter will get on the field at some point.
Matt Corral, maybe.
Corral.
Is that going to move the Panther needle for anyone? I mean, he's good value where they drafted him. I don't know how his skill set translates into the NFL, but
yeah, I mean, it all depends, I guess, on Darnold. If Darnold is, how well he plays. They signed, they're into Darnold for some legit money. So, I mean, we'll see as far as that goes. But in the overall excitement, yes, there were 6 wide receivers that went in the first round. But wide receivers don't really move the needle for the hobby. Yes, there are some guys that sell for decent money, but if you look at the last couple of years, some stud wide receivers came out in the draft. Justin Jefferson, Waddle, who else am I missing here?
Those are the first 2 that come to my mind.
Who's the other kid?
Discussed Jefferson before.
Who's the other? And Jamar Chase was the other one.
Well, yeah.
But if you look at their numbers compared to Herbert, Burrow numbers, it's not even close as far as the value is concerned.
Well, quarterbacks are always going to win, but yeah, those top of the line wide receivers you just mentioned, young guys, I figured they should be selling for more than they do, but they just don't.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at a Justin Jefferson Prism Auto PSA 10, Silver Prism Auto PSA 10 sells for $700. I mean, the Burrow Herbert version of that sells for like 4 to 5x on that. So yes, it's great that you'll have 6 wide receivers, but the product shouldn't be priced where it's potentially going to be priced, because a lot of your guys that went in the beginning part of the draft are all offensive linemen and defensive players, and nobody gives a shit about those guys.
Yeah, not at all. And then, okay, say one of the wide receivers puts up a year like Jamar, which seems to be unlikely based on all the commentary I heard. I'm not excited about that. Great, I pull Drake London auto out of my box. I'm still not getting anywhere near what I paid for that box.
Yeah. So we'll talk about. Let's talk real quick. I have 2 things that I want to talk about. Number 1, does a shit 2022 pump 2020 and 2021 up even more because people are not going to get much out of 2022?
I think so. I think people. I said this last week. I said because this potential terrible class is coming out, and they held off 2021. People just be dying to open some 2021 because of the
you have 4
potential in there.
Yeah, you have 4 quarterbacks. We actually talk about that in the interview. That's where you're thinking of.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, we talk about this with Mike Gio in regards to some of this, but now that the draft has actually happened, and we saw, like, originally Willis was projected to potentially go in the first round, and Pickett was going to go in the first round, and you at least had 2 first-round quarterbacks. Now you only have 1. No running backs went in the first. Not that those are important for the hobby either. And none of the wide receivers that went seemed to have the same level of talent. I mean, granted, 2017 you had Mahomes go in the 3rd round. Possible. No, never mind. Mahomes went in the middle of the first. Never mind. I'm an idiot.
You said it.
Yeah, thank you. So I don't know. I think that you may see people jump back into 2020 and 2021 because 2022 does not look great right now.
Well, it's going to be a college builder's dream. Like, there's tons of guys that will just pick up all the guys that played at their favorite school or their alumni, etc. And you got teams that are just loaded up with safeties and offensive guards and stuff, and they'll be affordable to pick up.
Yeah, there's like 7 guys out of Georgia that wound up on NFL rosters.
15.
15, thank you.
15 from Georgia, 10 from LSU. Penn State's got a massive following. They had 8 guys. There's some definitely college collective potential here.
Yay, collectors.
Always got to slide that in on you.
Yeah, I know. Always. All right, so here's the second part of this draft as far as impact on current guys in the hobby, i.e., Philly gets A.J. Brown in the trade. Do we see that as more off-season pump for Jalen Hurts and the anticipation that he may be better this year, and then the reality is he still can't fucking throw, so, then once he doesn't put up numbers and his cards tank again.
Well, it's only been a day or two, so and the pops on both of their silver prisms in 2019 and 2020 respectively are pretty low, so their hearts is fine. But AJ Brown got a little bump on a 10 yesterday, I believe, an extra $25 off the last one at 2.25.
God, did you actually do show prep? It sounds like you got stats ready to go here.
I got a few things. I was prepped for the Hurts and AJ Brown.
There you go, guy. I love it. Show prep.
And then the Hurts has just been dead for a while, and it's just kind of hovering around $400. But the Brown only has a pop of 56. The Hurts only has a pop of like 150 something. So there's not like they're everywhere to be found, and it's only been a day and a half.
Yeah.
So, but not much going on there yet.
Yeah, it's definitely something to keep an eye on as far as, the Hertz got as low as 260, the Silver Prism got as PSA 10 got as low as 260, as high as 400 at the beginning of April, and then closed on the 28th at 382. So
that card was also doing 1,300.
Well, realistically, it was doing 633 during the season as a high. So, I have to imagine there's going to be a little bit of optimism, now that they have another weapon, and, people are going to be looking for things to buy. I think
for a couple $100, I would hop on the Hurts.
Yeah, if somebody
go up $600-700.
If somebody teaches him how to throw, obviously he had the running game down pretty well last year, and if he gets a little bit more accurate with Devonta Smith and AJ Brown, definite possibilities for that.
You would think they're going to put up some points this year, better than last year, so it could get interesting there.
Yeah, and their defense got better. They had a really good draft, so the Eagles as a whole could be better, and that wins also will help boost his hobby numbers. I think Mitchapalooza officially over now that they drafted Kenny Pickett. I
want a Kenny Small Hands Pickett autograph. I want him to write Small Hands on a card. Give it to me. I'll pick one up. That's all the commentary on Kenny Pickett is his hand size.
Yeah. Well, and then they
literally all I've listened
broke down how his thumb extends from the joint, which gives him better grip on the ball, and his hands aren't as small as they say they are, or whatever. I don't know. Doesn't matter.
Football analyst guys.
Yeah. Doesn't matter. Either way, Pickett more than likely will win the job. Trubisky, for those that have been getting on the Trubisky train and buying these cards and getting in on this pump, more than likely that's over. The story's already written for you. Pickett's a Pittsburgh guy, born and raised, went to UPitt, drafted in the first round. He's going to play unless Mitch has some other game in his bag that we haven't seen yet. He's going to be the backup, and his hobby value is going to remain where it was. So
being the sole first round quarterback, is there a big fear on overpaying for him just because he's it? Could it be, and may legitimately be not that great? Just because he's the only quarterback in the first round, so people are just going to grab Pickett.
Like hobby-wise overpaying,
Yeah,
not that the
hobby-wise.
Steelers. I mean,
No,
yeah,
hobby.
he's the only guy. Like, I
That's what I
mean,
mean. Our Steeler PYT is going to be $1,000 because Kenny Pickett's in it.
probably. I mean, the box will cost 1,500, and the Steelers are going to be 1,000. I mean, it's the only card in the box. I mean, it's the only player in the box that's going to.
Well, Malik will get some money.
Malik.
Where's Ritter? Cincinnati. Cincinnati had a ton of guys drafted. They had 9 guys drafted, I think. Could get some play there since they were relevant for the first time in a while.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that's the case. I mean, but this year in Atlanta, I mean, Atlanta's going to be abysmal again. I mean, they drafted a wide receiver. They have Ridley coming back next year, and they have Pitts. So if Ritter turns out to be any good, then yeah, he could get some run at some point.
I'm just talking initially, even if he's not playing. I mean, if you're breaking this stuff, you're going to have to push. You're going to have to get value out of the teams where you can get value out of, and then you're going to have to get value out of these third-round quarterbacks on some of these teams.
Well, yeah, I mean, then you're looking at Titans, Falcons, and then
maybe Panthers.
I guess maybe Panthers. I mean, at least with the Titans, you have Derrick Henry as a secondary, potential, and then with Atlanta, you got Pitts. And if Ridley comes back, but fuck Carolina. I mean, maybe like Christian McCaffrey's value is next to nothing at this point, at least hobby-wise.
I hear he's still on crutches, so who the hell knows?
Yeah, I don't know. The other big trade, Hollywood Brown goes to Arizona. I don't think that's going to have any hobby impact on much of anything. Kyler Murray, for some reason, nobody.
Except Lamar is pissed.
Yeah, well. I mean, it could hurt Lamar's value, but as far as Kyler is concerned, he already had weapons. The hobby really doesn't like him. His stuff is flat and down. I mean, in the last 6 months, his Silver Prism PSA 10 has gone from 2150 to 950.
Maybe he'll start at second base for the Athletics in 2025.
I mean,
or whoever owns his rights.
That would have more hobby relevance. But yeah, actually dating back to the peak of the 2021 football season, his card, Silver Prism PSA 10, peaked at $3,025. Last sale, 14th, was $950. So you're literally talking about a third of the value. And I don't think Hollywood Brown's going to make a difference. I don't think that team's going to win a Super Bowl. So Kyler, I would probably stay away from if you're looking at it from a purely investment flip standpoint. Obviously, if you're a Cardinals fan, PC, I mean, you're picking up stuff on a discount. You can get his PSA 9 if you don't have the money for a PSA 10 for less than $200 at this point.
That's base or silver?
Silver.
Wow.
Yeah, his silver PSA 9 pop 213 last sold for $192.
Even at that seems pricey. That doesn't interest me.
Yeah.
I don't listen to that and be like, oh, I gotta go buy one of those.
Yeah. So then, I mean, and now Lamar is literally left with no weapons. So I'm really curious to see where his prices go. His Silver Prism PSA 10 has been flat at $5,500, which seems really high.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, granted, the pop's 25, so that is what it is. But
that'll keep it up for a while.
But I mean, right now, Rashad Bateman is their number one wide receiver, and you have to figure his stats are going to take a hit.
They scoop a wide receiver in the draft? They must have.
I don't think so. I mean, if they did, it was late. Teams.
Baltimore. That's crazy.
Hamilton, defense. Linderbaum, center. Offensive line. Outside linebacker, D tackle. Offensive tackle, cornerback. Tight end, punter, tight end, cornerback, running back. 0 wide receivers.
Wow.
And their defense is going to be nasty, but they're not going to be able to score.
Hey, Christ, bring back Trent Dilfer.
I think that's it for trades and everything else, right?
Yeah, hobby wise, those were the two big ones.
Yeah.
Hollywood and AJ.
Yeah. So I mean that obviously we'll talk more about it as it gets to be more relevant. But right now, 2022 product, it's going to be brutal. So
It's Bateman, Duvernay,
and
James Prochet,
some guy you've never heard of.
Jalen Moore, Tylan Wallace.
Yeah.
Holy crap! And every single running back on their depth chart is injured.
Yeah.
Dobbins, Edwards, and Justice Hill all had injuries at the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean Lamar's a one-man show. So
Right.
I mean they lost their defensive coordinator, and obviously their defense is going to be naughty, but at the same time they're going to score.
You got to put up stats. I mean,
Yeah.
wins get you so far, but you got to put up stats.
They're not in a position to win a title, and Lamar's not going to put up stats. So I'd be real careful as far as buying into anything Lamar right now. And I can't think of anybody that's out there that is available.
Well, I'd certainly be inclined if I had high-end Lamar Jackson right now. I'd be inclined to start thinking about moving that.
Yeah, I would agree. Even though it's off season and whatever, if they don't make a move to get a wide receiver, I don't know who the fuck he's throwing the ball to.
Yeah.
So that would be, I'd be really concerned with that. I mean, looking at his optic hollow, some of his PSA 10 stuff really low pop. His optic hollow is pop 184. And that sold for $520 off a $420 price 2 weeks ago, which is interesting as far as why that's moving up. I have no idea.
Because the first one became available because they're dumping.
Yeah.
so and noting the pop, that's probably why.
Yeah, during the season, his stuff was selling for twice that, and got all the way down 40% of that value. All right, I think we talked enough draft. We got a little baseball, and then we'll get into the interview. So definitely going to be a supersized episode today. We want to talk a little investment of the week, and I'll toss that over to you, sir.
Yeah, I was just taking a look around. I was watching the Astros play somebody. I was like, oh yeah, Yordan Alvarez, his knees are healthy, and this guy's quietly raking. He put up the quietest 33 home runs last year. He's got 5 already this year, and he's hitting the ball well, and he's still a top prospect. Well, now he's in his 3rd year, but the only thing that's going to ever hurt him in long term is he came up at age 22, but then he had the COVID season, and then this 2021, some limitations after that. But I was looking at his 2020 Topps Chrome Refractor has got a pop just under 1,000, and for a $50 bill, you can own one.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought, and it's gotten nothing but trending slightly downward over the course of the last year. I mean, obviously, in May, June of 2021, this thing was $250, $300 all day. And as the pop goes up a little bit, and he was injured and had the knee surgery, it's come down, but it hasn't shown any signs of going back up. It's just been on a slow, steady track downward, and it's all the way down in the $50 range now.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the chart, $50 is a pretty solid support for the numbers here. It hasn't sold below $50 since December, with the exception of once, and that was at 41. So I would say, if he's going to put up a monster season, this would be something. $50 is pretty safe here as far as risk reward. I don't think it's going to sell much less than $50, especially just looking at the technicals on it. So, and Astros should be good, and if he's going to have a 30-40 home run season, that hopefully should make you some money.
Yeah, and I think it's a two-way street on this one. Even if I'm a PC guy or I'm in for Yordan for the long haul, I want to buy it when it's at its potential lowest, and that's where I think this card is right now.
Yeah.
And if he has a monster season and the Astros are doing great, and come August the card's trending and it's $100, $120, and I want to make a few bucks on it, I can do so.
Yeah, I would agree. Trying to see if there's anything else Yordan worth looking at.
I mean, like everything we say it all the time. Some of his really low numbered stuff are a little bit eye popping, of course, but across the board, the majority of his stuff is all lows.
Yeah. I mean, even some of his cooler parallels, inserts, whatever you want to call them, down his 2020 downtown, $140.
I mean, his color blast, like all color blast, was like $500, but
yeah, definitely some
really cool card.
Yeah, some good Jordan out there for you to pick up. Cool. Anything else you got there, sir?
No, sir.
All right. Well,
Garrett Cole pretending to be a pitcher.
Well, we'll leave your Yankees misery for another day.
Yankee misery, get the best record in the AL, guy.
Well, then why are you bitching about Jared Cole?
I'm not. He's throwing a gem.
Fair enough. Okay, reminder, we have Nat Turner, the Nat Turner, coming on the podcast next week. If you have questions you want us to ask Nat, send them to info@sportscardadvantage.com. We will try to do our best to ask any and all those questions to Nat when we talk to him. We are talking to him on Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so get us those questions before that. That's info@sportscardadvantage.com, or you can DM us on Twitter or Instagram, SportsCardADVTG. And with that being said, I am going to cue us into the interview. Thanks again to Mike Giacephi for coming on and chatting with us from Sports Card Nonsense. We have a special interview today. We are joined by Mike Giacephi from the Sports Card Nonsense podcast. What's going on, Mike?
What's up, Jeff? Jeff and Bunk, by the way. What is the deal with this name, Bunk? I didn't get to ask because I just got in here. Is this your actual first name?
No, not my first name.
Okay.
Nickname I got back in high school.
Okay. Your last name Bunker?
No, but
it's close. I don't think he wants to give away his last name, just because for the purposes of.
Oh, I don't care. But yeah, no,
okay.
It's not Bunk, and then some derivative of that. But.
Okay.
Yeah, old high school baseball nickname.
Gotcha. Couldn't go with Bunt. I got you. Okay, I'm on. No more questions from me. I'm with you.
All right. So we have the app, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But we really want to take a deep dive into you and some of the stuff that's going on in the hobby right now. I know that a lot of people that listen to us probably also listen to you, but for those of you that don't know who you are, can you give us a little bit about yourself, your hobby origin story?
Yeah, Mike Giacephi. I've got the podcast now, Sports Cards and Nonsense, along with Mike. He's not a co-host, but he's on the show. His name is Jesse. I've been in the hobby like most people, kind of was in it as a kid and then fell away after high school and kind of got back in I guess like 2010, 2012, just messing around with it. Had a little bit of cash, buying singles. I like Griffey, so I bought some Griffey cards, some Brady cards. And then 2016, 2017, I got involved with breaking with a guy here in Tennessee, and that really took off. So by the end of 2017, I sold my construction business, and by 2018, 2018 Bowman was my first product where I was, got in as a full-time breaker. That was the job. Did that for 2.5 years and sold the company in 2020 and started messing around with podcasting and going live and doing all that crap, and somehow got heard, by chance on a TikTok video, and now we end up working with Simmons over at the Ringer.
Okay. So that was going to be one of my questions is how you and Bill hooked up and how that, because you were just breaking and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, I got the biggest sports card podcast around, so how did that whole thing come together with Bill?
Yeah, when I sold the breaking company in August, I sat around for like a month and like counted my money and did nothing. And then I was like, I got to do something. Like I just had nothing to do. I was super bored. We bought some houses with the money and some rental properties, and that was cool. But I was like, I need something day to day. Like, I guess it sounds cool to like retire, but after a month, I was just going out of my mind. So I started just going live on Facebook, me and a buddy. Just doing Facebook Live videos. We get like 1,000 views, and we thought that was the best thing in the world. And then we got a little more serious. Jesse, who is the co-host now, I talked to him after like 4 or 5 episodes. I said, dude, I just need you to start cutting this stuff up and distributing like the audio, like just make it into an actual podcast. And then we talked to a guy from LA, a customer of ours who was breaking with us. Said, I've actually kind of been involved in that world a little bit. He does social media stuff. He's like, you got to get on this TikTok thing, which I had in 2020 had never heard of. And even now I've heard of it and despise it. But we started cutting up audio from the podcast to dump on TikTok. And Chris Vernon, the guy for The Ringer, he heard one of the clips when he was auditing. He was like checking his kid's phone at night or something. And he reached out. He's like, hey, you guys got this cool thing going. I'd love to talk to you. And we talked to him. And then he said, hey, I want to put you in touch with my boss, Bill.
That's awesome.
Total blind luck on TikTok.
Hey, despise it until it provides you a break.
That's right.
Yeah, I can barely get bunk on Instagram, never mind TikTok. So
you're not missing anything, Bunk. Social media is such a train wreck.
Is TikTok new?
You're on TikTok now?
No, that's not a serious question.
I think it's a TikTok new, like you were new on it. Just don't ever do it. There's no reason.
I can't. Instagram's too hard for me to begin with. Too many buttons. I don't know what any of them do. And then when I hit it, it's the wrong thing, and I get mad and I stop.
Anything that's encouraging people to take pictures of themselves, no matter what they're doing, I think should be done away with. So.
Well, I'm just trying to take pictures of my cards.
Sure, I'm all for cards,
and I still can't do that.
I go to Kroger though. I'm trying to check out. I have people taking pictures of like their recipes and stuff. I just want to throw cans at them, but it's not allowed yet.
You guys are peas in a pod.
That's why I got off Facebook. I don't care what you think, and I don't care what you had for dinner, and that's all it is. So I was like, all right, I'm done.
I like it. Yep, I'm with you.
I'll cue up the "Get Off My Lawn" audio clip that we have for both of you. So let's talk your PC and what you do and your own personal stuff. I know you mentioned Brady and Griffey. Who else you got in there? And then also, what about sets?
Yeah, Brady and Griffey, Bird, Bill Russell. Those are like the 4 I'll chase stuff of, individual cards. Sets, so 2000 Flair Showcase Sweet Sig set. It's a 10-card auto set. It's either 10 or 12 cards. Dirt cheap. I mean, the most expensive card's probably Nolan Ryan for like $100. That was the first set when it brought me back into the hobby that I put together. And right now I'm working on the 2001 SP Authentic Sign of the Times football set. It's got the Breeze rookie, but I like it because it's just vet heavy. Jim Brown, Unitas, Montana, Marino, all those guys. Out of the 38 names or so, I think I've got like 20, 22. So.
And how did coming into money, because obviously you sold both businesses and then you got cash. And it sounds like you had enough cash that you weren't necessarily needing to work, so that means you got money floating around. How did that change your interaction with the hobby? Because now it's like, if the most expensive card in the set's $100, you can just go buy the whole damn thing off eBay. It doesn't really matter what you pay. So how did that change your passion for cards? Did it just raise the level of what you were chasing, or sentimental value?
Yeah, so both. Yeah, like before it'd be like for Brady's, I'm like, I want a $500 Brady. But yeah, then it becomes different, right? Now it's like, okay, if it's a $10,000 or whatever $1,000, okay, I want that for a Brady. But for the set stuff, like that set, I can't find anywhere. So I've actually loved it. There's like, I bought a Brad Johnson card this week, that useless quarterback who won a Super Bowl for the Bucs. I bought his auto yesterday on eBay for $19.99. I overpaid for it. I was pumped. Yeah. I have never seen that card in person. I couldn't even get the base set of the stupid card. I had to buy the gold set. I just wanted the base card. So I still get excited about crap like that.
Yeah.
And then I told Jesse, like, I went to a Nashville show, and I spent like $18 in the dollar box a couple weeks ago, and I flipped the $18 for $45. And I was like, dude, I don't care how much money you got. I just tripled my cash. I was pumped.
Oh,
I still get excited about the hustle. But for PC stuff, I've become a snob for sure.
Yeah, well, Bunk also is a big dollar box guy, and
beat it.
We went to a show in Philly, and we were walking around together, and we were done for the day. And then he found this one set of like $18 boxes. So I was sitting there for like 45 fucking minutes, waiting for him to get through the dollar boxes.
Yeah, and I found stuff to flip. I found one new idea for a new set I wanted to collect. I'm like, well, now I got 2 of them for dirt cheap, so I'm going to start this set. It's the best. It really is. And then again, to your point, I bought something, I didn't know what it was, and because I didn't know what it was, I bought it. That's usually a rule of thumb of mine. If I don't know what it is or where it came from, I try to pick it up if it's reasonable, because I've never seen it.
Yeah, no, I do. I still love the cheap stuff. Like at that same card show, I bought 2 PSA 10 97 finest Tracy McGrady rookies, $15 a piece. I was like, I don't care what you do. Like those are worth $45. I do. I still get excited about the little crap on the flip side for sure. I still love the chase and the flip and all that stuff.
And do you mostly flip on eBay or other places?
So that's one thing. The Facebook group took off. The breaking group had a big following. The social, and now our socials, because of the Ringer and all that, there's like 50 or 60,000 followers. It is very easy for me to flip stuff now. So it used to be I would grind it on eBay, but I have gotten spoiled. Now I just post stuff on there for like 80% comps and just move it.
Yeah.
Once or twice a week too, I'll just do like a blind lot in the group. Same thing. It'll be like 75, 80% of comps just to move But that's not like people ask me, hey, how do I get into selling? And I'm like, I don't have anything useful to say. I think eBay consignment's great. I use consigners for stuff sometimes. But yeah, I don't mess with eBay myself, and I'll start selling on the app eventually too, probably like next week.
Yeah. Yeah. We do a ton of stuff on eBay just because, for us, it's the easiest way to offload. And Bunk's been doing eBay for the better part of a decade. So,
Yeah, you can move volume on there like nowhere else. I just don't have volume. Like if I have 500 cards in my flip box, I'm ready to kill myself.
Oh, yeah.
Because everything that comes in, I just move. But yeah, if you're moving volume, that's what I tell guys is they just eBay it. Either do it yourself or consign it, and you know it's going to sell. Start it at auction and let it go.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to change gears a little bit and talk about breaking. You had mentioned that, you got started with a breaking business. And I think a lot of people in the hobby don't have a ton of information as far as what goes on behind the scenes. I think there's multiple levels of breakers. You have your guys like, Leighton and Steel City, and then also like all the way on down to the smaller guys. Can you, I guess, provide us some insight as far as, some of the numbers, the profit margins, and what people are getting product for, and because the boxes and the cases keep getting more and more and more expensive, and these guys are still selling spots at retail, and we really would like to get to know that aspect of the business a little bit more.
Yeah, as far as pricing goes, you still get. The majority of breakers, like how we did, get their product through distribution. There's probably 5 big distribution houses in America. That's where almost everybody's getting their stuff from. Some guys, if you have a shop or if you just had an account for a while, you can get direct from Topps or Panini a little bit. But usually it comes through distribution, and then you just market according to the market. For years, Bowman was the cash cow because Bowman cases were $600-700 a case. And starting in 2018, when I started, it was thousands. But then about a year and a half ago, Panini started raising prices, their sales price to distribution, which made sense. There was way too much. And even Topps has since done it, but it's nothing. Like Bowman that comes out in 2 weeks or a week, I want to say the cost is like $1,200 a case, and it's going to be. I haven't even looked. I guarantee it's $3,000 to $4,000 minimum on release day. So the profit is good on almost every. Prism, same thing. Prism cases are like $3,000 across the board, and Panini's pretty consistent across the board for sports.
That's 6x because the new Prism cases are going to be $20,000 retail.
Yeah,
football.
So there you go. Yeah, and it may be 3,300, but it's roughly those numbers. NT is about the same cost. Immaculate's way cheaper. So yeah, the profit margins are it's not like many markets anywhere, honestly.
Do you guys have restrictions as far as what you can do with that? Can you dump it on eBay for 75% of retail if you wanted to?
So they give you an MSRP. Panini does a very strict MAP pricing. It's actually not MSRP. It's MAPP. I don't even know what it stands for, but it's always so low you would never sell it for that anyways. If distributors see you just like, hey, I'm just dumping all my stuff to blow out of sealed cases, and they get onto that, I've had guys who I know have kind of got shut down with that, which I think you should.
Yeah.
Distribution is giving it to you with enough to make a huge markup because they want you to break it or rip it by the box and get people invested in the hobby. So, but yeah, you can pretty well do what you want. You can't break it early. That's a big thing. Don't break it until release day. So
okay, so so you'll get it a couple of days before it releases, and then you just have to wait to break it until it goes live.
Yep. And nowadays you don't usually get it till release day, anyways. Like it used to be, you get it days early. With shipping now, you're lucky if you get it on release day.
And for the smaller guys, a lot of times these guys are potentially buying from guys like you who are getting direct or latent.
Yep.
I know Pull Wax does like their own wholesale type of program. So, I mean, in theory, the smaller guys, they could still be selling that $3,000 case for $6,000, double their money, and then the other person can still make a markup. So there seems to be a lot of fat there.
There's a lot of hands in it, no question.
Yeah. And do you envision if Luber and company, get hold of Panini and Topps that they're going to change this game? Have you heard anything about that?
Yeah, I mean he's been pretty outspoken when he says like distribution will be around, but there's going to be a lot of other channels. I mean, Fanatics' whole business is direct to consumer.
Yeah.
So I don't think you can come in day one and do that, but I certainly think, I mean, why wouldn't you? Why would I sell it to these guys so they can make a ton of money? He's talked about having in-house breakers. I mean, they've also flip-flop a lot from what I've heard from Josh. It's not criticism, just the way it is. Like 1 week it's this, a couple months later. I think it's probably because it's just evolving. But I've often wondered, like, why. As a matter of fact, when I sold the business, I did a Facebook Live back in 2020. And that was one thing I specifically mentioned. I was like, I'm just worried a company like Fanatics or somebody else is going to come in and buy it, and we're going to be out of business. Because if I can't get it at distro pricing, what am I doing?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, because there's a ton of effort. I mean, yeah, you make a lot of money, but there's also a lot of effort and organization and people you got to pay to sort and ship and do all that other stuff too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And do you have favorite products to break? Obviously, I know you're not doing it a whole lot anymore, but back when you were breaking regularly, did you have favorites that you like to rip?
Yeah, boring. Just like I'm like Flawless Immaculate NT, just because it's a quick one. Definitive, quick one. I really got into Bowman though. Like that would be my, man. Making Bowman PYTs, pick your team lists, was like the most time consuming passion of the hobby I had. Because I had a bunch of guys, and there was probably 6 of us in a group chat. And about a month out, it was like, all right, let's start getting scouting reports. Let's start getting who's getting hyped up. What are player auctions selling for weeks ahead of time? What are teams selling for at auction? Who are guys talking about? We put a ton of time into that kind of stuff. So I would actually enjoy breaking Bowman the first week because I knew more about the product because of the research we did than almost anybody. Which I really, and that was one of my things. Like I always wanted to be an informed breaker. I wasn't going to be one of these schmucks yelling about a $3 auto. And nobody else knew it, so you could get away with yelling about it. I really tried to pride myself, except for hockey and soccer. I don't care about those sports. I don't yell about any of it because if it's not Gretzky, I don't know it. So I never would ever put the time in to learn those two. But with Bowman, that became kind of my favorite just because I was like, man, I feel very knowledgeable. A guy may hit a blue auto and think he's got $10 out of his $150 spot. And it's like, no, by the way, this 19-year-old is actually selling for $500. So yeah. Bowman was cool just for that aspect.
Yeah,
much easier to pronounce those names too than hockey and soccer.
Holy God. I don't even try. Yeah, hockey and soccer, man, I just make a joke out of it. Yeah, this dude who doesn't use his hands for some reason. No, I don't even waste my time. Yep.
And so if I'm new and want to get into breaking, not as a breaker, but somebody who's participating in breaks, do you have recommended products that, may provide value?
I mean, in general, a lot of it comes down to like what sport do you want to chase. But in general, if I'm coming in with a set amount of cash to spend, I would say stick with, Flawless is great because you could pull a $65,000 LaMelo RPA. You're probably not going to hit a single card, though, if you're in a break of Flawless. So to me, it was always, it's more conservative to stick with base-heavy products. Bowman Chrome, Bowman Draft, even Bowman's Best, Top Series 1, Series 2, not the sexiest products, but you can have almost no big hit and still grade your way out with a lot of those products, especially prospect-heavy stuff. And then even in basketball, Hoops and Don Russ, not the sexiest products, but man, if you can get a bunch of rookies and inserts and different things and grade your way out of it, you could go relatively hitless and still make a piece of your cash back at least.
And to understand or to help people understand when you say grade your way out of it, meaning submitting cards for grading to SGC, PSA, et cetera.
Yeah. I mean, again, you've got 5 LaMelo rookies from Prism that sell for, again, I don't know the market, $15 raw. Well, if I send a PSA and they come back as a 10, if I think they're worthy of at least taking a shot, I can invest $50 to grade it, and all of a sudden it comes back and it's worth, again, whatever he's doing, $250.
Yeah, yeah. One last question about breaking. Then you brought up the grading things. I want to pick your brain a little bit about that in a second. But as product prices keep going up, i.e., 2021 Prism football went from $14.99 to $16.99 a box, and it was even cheaper the year before. Do you see breaking slowing down, or breakers having to offer breaks at sub retail at some point?
I mean, I don't see any reason why. The reason I say that is, as much as wax goes up, wax and singles are always connected. Like, yet 7 years ago, I could have broken Prism for, I mean, back then it was $1,244 a case. So yeah, I could have broken a whole case for, call it $1,900. But my Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes silvers out of that product were worth $200.
Yeah.
So yeah, now the box is $1,500, but the cards that could potentially come out, I mean, look at all the crazy money that's in it. So the singles and wax, there's a huge connection there. So you're paying more, but you potentially are going to get a bigger hit. So I don't see it slowing down. It's a gambler's mentality.
Yeah.
Like, if that were the case, like, casinos would have been out of business 100 years ago. Like, everybody knows, I'm going to a casino, I'm going to lose money.
Yeah.
But nobody stops doing it. I think it's a lot of the same mentality in breaking.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think 2020, especially with Prism football, obviously with Burrow and Herbert in there, people got their money's worth. This year, I don't know. I don't know if can Mac and company carry it. It's going to be interesting to see where those prices, because a lot of them all played this year. They didn't perform on the field, and prices have come down, dramatically. So, and Prism's being released 4 or 5 months later than it usually is. So I'm really curious to see where this market goes.
Yeah, I hear that, but at the same time, if you look at Mac, Trevor, Trey, then Jamar Chase, Fields, Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
I actually think it's a safer year to break than ever before. Last year, if you didn't hit one of those two guys you mentioned, it's over. And what's insane to me is how close Mac and Trevor are selling to Herbert stuff.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. I mean,
No.
they're not nearly as talented as either one of those kids.
Right, but I guess you don't have to understand it if you know the market and you're going to put the money into it. It is what it is, so
Right.
feel good about doing it.
And the other thing that's nuts, we actually did a big breakdown on wax from 2021 compared to the last few years. 2021 wax is selling closer to 2019 than it is to 2020.
Yeah.
You chasing anybody in 2019 NFL right now?
No.
Like, Kyler Murray is the guy, and you both, I have never seen you play football. I guarantee you're close to his same athletic ability on the field. Like, Kyler's not moving the market.
No.
How is it that this class is not selling closer to last year? Yes, you've got Burrow and Herbert, who should be head and shoulders above.
Yeah.
But after that, there is a massive drop-off. Whereas in this, you've got 5 quarterbacks who at least sell decent, and the rookie of the year wide receiver. I actually and I think the timing's huge, like you said. Mm-hmm. It's coming in off season, which it's never done before.
Yeah.
So it's flawless. That's
I mean,
some of it's down.
Basketball would be just about over, and obviously the draft is over. So then it's like it's going to be just out there all on its own, and baseball's soft. So I mean, it could have a reverse effect. I mean, we're going to see what's going to happen, but I'm going to be real interested to find out how excited people are about Justin Fields or Zach Wilson. I mean,
I actually think they might be real excited. A couple analysts yesterday I was listening to were talking about how there's maybe 5 or 6 dudes in this entire football class that are worthy of the first round.
Yep.
And if this draft it doesn't excite people, and now you're going to release last year's class, to Mike's point about all those names, it might pump it up a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to have a first-round quarterback taken, most likely, and only a handful of skill positions. They do say on the field it's going to be a great class. But I don't care about the 4 Hall of Fame offensive linemen that got taken. It doesn't move the needle in the hobby. I do, even like Zach Wilson and Justin Fields as good examples. Those are the, 5th and 6th, maybe 4th, 5th, or 6th in that order, somewhere in there because of Jamar Chase. Best hits in last year's draft, sales-wise. But, like, if you put them in the class this year,
they're number one.
Selling them. I mean, in terms of hobby value, quarterbacks move the needles. So.
Yeah, Malik Willis is the only one that they're talking about like top 10 as far as a quarterback. And
I thought now there's questions if he goes first round at all.
Yeah,
that's Pickett. That's Pickett, who I think you're thinking of. Kenny Pickett was the guy who was supposed to be up at the top, and now they're like, I don't know if he'll go first. A lot of people are saying Malik will go to Carolina.
Really?
Yeah, at 8.
Wow.
Yeah, that's I mean, there's
If they want to move up, the Giants can trade him the pick. Pay me.
Yeah, seriously.
there is a bunch of scouts and coaches who say that if Malik comes into the league now, he'll have a top 10 arm as far as his arm strength are concerned. I saw
this time of year is hype central. I don't listen to anything from here to the draft. I don't want to hear anything.
I'm just repeating what I heard. All right, so we'll talk a little bit about grading, and I don't want to put you in an uncomfortable position. I know that you do a ton of stuff with SGC. We don't normally speak all that favorably about SGC just because we've had some bad experiences with them. If PSA,
you don't have to hold back. By the way, Jeff, I don't care. Dude,
no.
don't hurt my feelings.
I don't ever want to mess with anybody's money. So it's like
we're paid for the year. Next January, don't say anything bad. But for now, you say whatever you want.
Fair.
Trust me. We rip them when we need to as well. So you don't hold back, please.
Fair enough. So one of the big things that we've talked about on our podcast regularly is if PSA goes to a $25 price point, whether or not SGC and HGA go bye-bye. Do you have an opinion on that?
I do. I would just change the initials. I don't think SGC's the volume they're doing compared to BGS isn't close anymore. HGA's gone anyways. They shut down now. They're not taking new cards.
Well, they were just bought out. I mean, but HGA was just purchased by a $600 million company, so they're going to come back.
I mean, maybe.
At some point.
Know. They weren't number 4 anyways. Like at this point, CSG's probably passed them up.
Yeah.
I don't think HGA is even relative in 2 months. I'd be very surprised. I think people will still use it to grade
PC.
Honestly, regardless of what PSA does, I think HGA was done. But yeah, SGC I don't think is challenged. I think if you told me tomorrow PSA goes to $25, then I would tell you I think Beckett is in serious trouble. They're in serious trouble right now based on their numbers. I often ask guys with grading, PSA not paid by them, but I can understand, right?
Yeah.
Highest price on resale.
Yep.
Now I'm going to pay more and I'm going to have to wait longer, but I'm going to get the most money so I can justify it.
Yeah.
SGC I'm going to get it back the fastest and I'm going to pay the cheapest. Why am I 7 cards with BGS?
Yeah, I mean the only thing.
Yeah, right now, no.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. That's
Absolutely
the struggle.
not.
So right now, if PSA came out at $25, my God, I think SGC would take a hit, no question. But at the same time, oh sorry, go ahead.
I do think a higher end BGS 9.5 will get you more than an SGC 9.5.
Well, you got to compare apples to apples now. SGC 10 is Gem Mint, so it's SGC 10, PSA 10, BGS 9.5, same grade. And again, I look at comps every week. I'm not sure what's outselling. Now, Chrome, there's for sure still a 9.510 BGS Gem Mint of a current Chrome prospect will, in general, outsell it by about 16%. Outsell an SGC 10 Auto 9.5 grade. Or 1010, excuse me.
Yeah.
But that's for high-end Chrome. And if you're going high-end with a Chrome card, I'm going PSA anyways.
Anyway, yeah.
That's what I mean. I'm not trying to knock them. I sub all my patch autos, thick cards to BGS, because I like the look. But that's all I do. I don't know what else I'm supposed to send to him anymore. Takes forever to get back. The resale with vintage right now, the resale of SGC to BGS is not. It's like 2.5 to 1 on some of the stuff. And even modern stuff, SGC's relatively even with them. So yeah, I'm kind of. Beckett's always the one. I grew up with him, so I understand why guys like him.
Well, after they shut down, they've completely disappeared. You haven't heard move from them. I didn't even know they reopened those levels they have open because they didn't tell anybody.
Right. And then people say, well, SGC's made a bigger push with influencers or whatever us clowns call ourselves now. So, which I think is fair, right? SGC pays us a lot of money. We talk about them all the time. I tell people 2 things. Well, number one, we were talking about them anyways, and so I want to get paid. If I'm going to talk about it, you want to pay me. I'm happy to do it. But number 2, that is not an excuse for Beckett. That just shows me you're even dumber. Why wouldn't you then? Anybody is taking a call from Beckett. A year and a half ago when influencers started, right?
Of course.
Beckett was still the name. How do you have no foothold in social media if you were the company coming up?
0.
I honestly think they're so out of touch. And then their solution to that is, well, we got Dr. Beckett, who's not associated, but it's his company and goes around and tells stories. I've never met him. I think he's probably 1,000 times more intelligent than me. How does that guy relate to 96% of people in the hobby today? Well, yeah, not a knock on him, but like that's your company spokesman.
Yeah.
What are you doing as a company? I don't get it.
Well, to your point, the last 3 years, the hobby's face has completely changed in who's in it, and if a lot of that older generation and guys my age and older are now starting to be out of the picture and they didn't pass it on at all, and then Beckett was the name, and now the kids and younger folks now, you're not seeing Beckett all the time. You're seeing the PSA, the SGC, so it's just not in your head.
I guarantee you some of these 15, 18-year-old kids in the hobby don't even know what BGS is or don't know what Beckett is.
Oh, guaranteed.
You don't see it anywhere.
Yeah, and if you asked me 2 years ago, what does SGC do? I would say, oh, they grade vintage. What does BGS do? Huge in chrome, and big with patch autos. If you ask people who have come in the last 18 months, though, I guarantee more people would know SGC than they would BGS. Yeah. Everybody would know PSA. I don't question that. And that's why that's always our pitch. I think PSA is undoubtedly number one, but I do think the number two spot has changed, at least for me.
Yeah. So Go ahead, Bunk.
But I wanted to go back to your point about comparing the same thing, because I have a big issue with it personally. The where you talked about the PSA 10, the SGC 10, and then the 9.5 all being on the Gem Mint level. For me, the numbers got to be the same. I understand what you're calling it letter-wise, but if the number's not the same, most people, I don't think, understand that concept. And for me still, too, if a 10 is a 10 and a 9.5 is a 9.5. So we either need to all get on the same page here, or I do think the market is skewed because people see what they want to see and they see a number. So they see the 10 and all right, well, I'm going to pay more for that. Okay, now it's in this thinner, nice, cooler looking slab. I'm going to pay more for that. As opposed, if PSA had a 9.5, and this is a whole nother topic that you and I but
sure,
it's a big deal that there isn't one. But that's not my question to you. But how do you feel about, you're comfortable with, okay, I'm just going to know what company lines up Gen Mint no matter what the number is, and that's not a problem?
Yeah, that's me. Because if you said, what's the most desirable grade? The top two belong to Beckett. Black Label, no. You cannot tell me there's a better looking card than a Black Label. And a BGS 10 Pristine is the second best unless it's vintage, then I don't trust it. But other than that, I trust.
That's fair.
I wish that in a perfect world, I'd like to see equivalent grading across the board. And again, just because I'm going to pump the horn at this point. Anyways, with SGC, the other thing I do like, I would love to see PSA with a 9.5 because there's a lot of 9s that are better than a 9. And there's a lot of 10s that are not quite a 10.
Definitely.
How do you bridge the gap? You want to have the 10 in the mix, right? Because to ordinary people, I see a 10, I want that over a 9.5 regardless.
Correct.
So to me, it's almost this is why I started using SGC. They have the 9.5, which I like, but the Gem Mint is a 10, which is still the most eye-appealing, easy to understand number. But yeah, in a perfect world, I wish Beckett would I wish Beckett would get on the same page. So PSA at a 9.5 and Beckett call your 9.5 Mint Plus or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Your 10 is a Gem Mint. I totally agree. The other thing I struggle with though is, that's what's become the that has set the market, right? The PSA 10 is the market setter. So then to me, everybody else should change and fall in line with that, which is not reasonable, but if you're asking me,
it's a fair point because they're clearly in control and clearly in the lead in this race. So
and that's why CSG to me was the most idiotic thing in the world. You just come into the space, okay, the number one company is a 10, and it's very simple. And they came in and made it a 9.5, and then 2 years later switched it to a 10. That's why I don't think another company I don't think is all that right.
Is that the company I can now submit my 9.5s to and maybe get a 10 on?
Yes.
Yeah, and you get it out of the ugly. They get out of the ugly green label. Now they come into the stupid black. I don't understand those guys at all.
So since you have a direct line of communication to SGC, we have a theory, and we do a lot of buying and regrading. As far as ways to make money dealing with online, it's one of the few ways to do it. So we've looked at a lot of SGC 10 over the last 6 months to a year and noticed that a lot of SGC 10s have damage. So I'd really love to know whether or not, and we've talked to some other people in the hobby, and they say that sometimes the holders don't fit the cards and they move around.
Yeah. So this was that's actually so two things. First of all, that's a great point. If you look at blogs, and we went nuts about them too, they changed that black interior mold they have because before it was visible almost without even a microscope. They had hooks. Those hooks were definitely messing with some corners, no question.
Yeah.
I have stuff in SGC 10 holders right now that I know is not Gem Mint. I find it to be on par with the stuff in my BGS. I think the majority of BGS 9.5s are Gem Mint. I think the majority of my PSA 10s are Gem Mint. I feel the same about SGC, but I think they make just as many screw ups as all three of them.
Yeah,
But the holder was a legitimate thing, no question. That interior like slip or whatever the black outline in there, yeah, definitely.
And some of them, if you just shook it gently, you heard the card rattling in there, and that just can't be.
Yeah. Again, I had a problem with with PSA with doing that. Now BGS actually never did with that for whatever reason.
No, their labels would just fall all the time, but the card was secure.
But PSA, you'd have your card rattling, and they put that interior slip, which really helped that.
Sure.
I still have a bit of an issue with thick cards SGC though, like that for sure. That's why I use my thick cards to Beckett.
Yeah, but we've noticed
in general base cards I haven't had an issue with in the last 8 or 10 months since they switched.
And we've noticed a lot of surface damage on the back too, and I don't know if that's because the card moves or gets stuck and moves a little bit. I mean, that's this back surface, especially on Topps Chrome cards, and then corners are the main things that we've noticed on SGC 10s as far as why we stay away from them.
Sure.
To be fair, a lot of people don't know how to take a good picture, so we could be seeing distorted.
But I think there's some truth to it.
We've looked at thousands at this point. I feel good about it. But
now let me ask you this then: do you feel like it is not an equal, like the SGC amount of those are much higher than PSA and Beckett? From what you've seen,
as far as
from what I've seen, yeah, I would say that. But it got to the point where it's like I won't even look at one to crack open. I mean, I hate cracking it anyway because I was a big proponent of pop reports are useless now because unless it's a 10, because all we do is crack them open.
50 times.
Yeah, it's like come on, but. So I feel dirty every time I do it, but
okay.
What are you gonna
do? Sometimes you just got to be a whore. I want to be cognizant of your time, Mike. How much time do we have?
I got like another 10 if that works for you.
Okay, so I'm gonna skip on to the main reason why you're here. You guys are releasing a new app, or you've released a new app. I'm not sure. I thought I read 5/5 was the official launch date.
App Store launch. Yep. Right now it's still in beta. You got to click a bunch of stupid buttons.
So give us the overall the name of the app, what the app is supposed to do. I believe from what I understand, you guys are looking to compete with Whatnot. Is that also true?
Yeah. So it's called the Card Shop Live. May 5th, it hits the actual app store, so you can just go in and click it and download it. Right now it's still in beta. We have a couple people. I think we have 4 or 5 sellers on there right now. It's still a mess in a lot of ways. Bugs every week, and we've got a whole tech team that, honestly, it's hey, let's get this whole group to do this, and we found 7 things to fix. We'll fix those. So that's why we've really delayed this thing. We thought we'd be rolling by March 1st, and then it was like, our whole thing there is quality of person, quality of seller, and quality of product. So I think once it's all said and done, it's going to be built out as good, if not better, than Whatnot, than Loop. I think those are the big 2. Now, I'm also not naive. Whatnot's $1.5 billion value company. I don't think we're ever getting there. But I think our features are going to be a lot better in a lot of respects. And our biggest thing is just vetted sellers. Like,
can
only going to be people.
Can you walk us through what the features are? Like, what's the differentiator? Sure. Why am I using this versus Whatnot or Loop?
Yeah. So again, it's not a sexy answer. It's the same service in theory, right? You go on, you watch it live. So live chat. One-click bidding, shipping, all that. So shipping right now is free. We may tinker with that because it's just a pain on the accounting side, it sounds like. But the single reason I think it is 1,000 times better and why I got off the other 2 is I'm not buying from some kid who I've never heard that filled out an application to a bunch of people not in the card space, and now he's a seller.
Yeah.
It's not, again, the marketing team has a whole write-up. I think by and large it's a waste of their money, but we pay them a lot, so whatever, they can keep doing it. But that is how I pitch it to people. You're going to buy here from people who already have a community. They're simply bringing their buyers over with them. They take care of people. And at the end of the day, if something happens, they will take care of you because that's how they've built their reputation. And if not, I will. Like, my name will be all over this thing, not because I'm arrogant, although I am. But, like, I think people have seen me in the past when we've had scammers in the group. I spent a day when we first opened the Facebook group and got big calling people's parents and calling workplaces. I will make sure things go smoothly. That's the big thing. The other features, there's going to be some cool actual tech features. Like right now, if you're live doing something, we can do a split video and pop in live and do free giveaways and stuff like an Instagram live.
Okay.
I think that's a pretty cool feature. There will be live content on the app. The other 2 have both started doing that. I guess the difference here is ours is not going to suck and be boring. Because we make pretty good content now. We have some other people coming over to make content with it. We've got a couple deals in place with people in the card space now. I think some of that I'm supposed to not say until it gets announced, but some of the partnerships will allow us to kind of do some behind the scenes crap, different things like that. And then eventually it will be opened up to just a straight marketplace as well. Load up your profile. Strict though. I mean, I don't want a bunch of people in there because you can scam there just as easy anywhere else. So it will be a very vouch heavy system,
similar to
meetings with sellers, that type of stuff.
Yeah, similar.
So are you talking similar to the Beckett marketplace? If I'm a vetted seller on your app, I can just kind of load up my
individual store
inventory, and people could just pick off their note, feeling good about it. It's your space and buying safe.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's quite a bit down the road because it's just a whole different build-up. But yeah, and we're going to start it earlier than that with consignment as well. And if you can send things in, hey, here's a 100-card order, fill out the slip. You want us to sell these 80 and vault, and it's not an actual vault. It's going to be started off very small at our offices. But if you want us to keep cards on hand so that you can trade between each other, there'll be a small fee. It's in-house. You're getting it because I have the cards in hand. We'll ship it out. That'll be a piece of it. We've got a deal in place with a grading card company where you can just one-click a grade feature. Hey, I pulled this in a break. Cool. Ship it to SGC, ship it to hopefully PSA eventually. We're going to talk with them. And then on the return side as well, my SGC order just popped. I'm just speaking hypothetically, of course, because I'm not sure I'm supposed to say all that. Doesn't matter. When it pops, hey, return to my home shipping address or ship it to the Card Shop Live address and just direct consign that way. That'll be a thing. And then the other big thing is the push notifications on breaks. You can't load breaks on the other site. You can go live and sell teams and stuff, but those auctions take forever. On this, it's, hey, Gio Breaks just loaded a Bowman PYT. Just go into it like you would any website and buy your team, and then it's done.
Okay.
So the preloaded breaks with the push notifications.
And other than Gio, who is on the original list that's going to be getting everything started for you guys?
Yeah, so Eddie's the big one. Eddie with Geo Breaks, because he's doing such a volume anyways, it made sense. So he's involved in it right now. He's full-time on the app, actually. He's been the last 2 weeks. Jesse and myself under the Sports Cards Nonsense, we launched the 5th. So we're doing like a dual announcement. Hey, it hit the App Store. That's the reason we haven't pumped it up on the podcast too much either. There's not a ton of activity there right now anyways. There's a few breakers, but until we, really iron out the rest of the bugs. So we've done a few sales. Stephanie from Mama Breaks just jumped over this week. Buddy of mine, Blake, who used to break in our Facebook group. His name is Deep Fried Breaks.
Oh yeah,
he's a redneck. Yeah, Blake's a great dude.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, all the people, that's why they're on. They're good people. He's jumping on. And we got a guy named Mike who's doing Pokemon packs and singles and kind of like this small. So it'll hit the App Store the 5th. June 1st is when we make the big push. We get the big microphone, Simmons and other guys to start talking it up and drive traffic then.
Is Bill an investor, or are he just going to help promote? Are you not, if you're not allowed to say, please don't.
No. So we've had discussions. We've given him the pitch deck. He knows the idea. I'm hoping we can get something officially. I mean, yeah, I would love for him to be an investor. 1 million people per podcast is a little bit bigger audience than I have. So, yeah, we would love to have him on board at some point. And then if nothing else, just come on and break the boxes that he's breaking on Instagram. Come do it over there. Bring the audience that way.
Absolutely. And then when you get started, anything that we can provide our audience as an incentive to go sign up for the app, discount, coupon code, whatever? Is there any of that?
It's a good question. Not right now. Yeah, I don't know.
You should talk to your
Could be.
You should talk to your marketing team.
Yeah, they probably have 300 ideas, and they'll hear this podcast and get mad at me. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't mess with any of the promotional stuff. I've been trying to stay away from them. I stay away from them, and I stay away from the tech people.
Okay.
So,
well, when you get
useless, that was a useless answer. Are we going to end on that?
No. When you guys get closer to launch, I'll hit you back up on Instagram and see if we can put something out and get some of our users over there and get them on the app.
Nice.
We had a whole episode where we bashed Whatnot for about 30 minutes, calling them the used car lot of the hobby. So, yeah,
I mean, it's tough for me. They're clearly crazy successful. First one to do it. I have no use for a 16-year-old rolling a dice to find out what card I get to buy. Mystery packs and this bull crap that is just priced. There comes a point just cut all that out. Your company is killing it anyways.
Yeah.
Honestly, our goal, dream world scenarios, to get to 20% of their value, which I think we'll get to. But you have all this money, you got all these great sellers on there now too. Why is there still trash on there? I don't understand that. I don't know if it's a money grab. I don't know the reasoning. I think there's so much good we were involved. We were a paid advertiser of theirs for 6 months. We drove thousands of people there. And then I just started getting blown up with emails like, hey, I was dealing with this nobody and he didn't send my card, or I bought a $50 pack and got that. I was like, yeah, we're good.
The mystery juice packs, whatever you want to call them, are the biggest ripoff in the hobby. These guys are just recycling crap they couldn't move. And, a lot of times there's one or two good cards and a bunch of 20.
And they send a chase card to their buddy. I mean, it's terrible.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, too. I left this off, actually. Probably, to me, the second best feature, which I totally didn't say, is every one of our videos is recorded and archived. I never watch breaks live. I buy into breaks every day. I never watch a break live. I always go back and watch a video.
Me either. Mail day is so much more fun that way.
Yeah, and how is there – I mean, it's more fun, but then your buddy's like, hey, you hit this great card, and oh, by the way, you didn't get to see it because these other platforms don't save video. I don't know how that has ever been allowed. And cases coming off camera and boxes being opened. Just like, what are we doing? Like, there's enough shady crap in here. Like, but you can make so much money being like upfront about things. I don't know why there's a reason to be shady about that stuff, but it's still prevalent. So
yeah, well, unfortunately,
30 more minutes. Here we go. People we hate start ripping everybody.
Unfortunately, when there's an opportunity to take advantage, people always will. And we stress that on our podcast all the time. Do your homework. Do your homework. Do your homework, and don't spend your money until you know where it's going. So.
Absolutely.
So when the app gets closer to launch, we'll reconnect and see if there's any thing that we can provide our audience to give them a little bit of an incentive to go sign up and break with you guys.
Awesome, appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Any final thoughts here as we wrap up?
I like the transparency here. I never actually. I'm being honest with you, I have not listened to the podcast until last week when you reached out. And I was like, that was the one thing I hate when it starts and it's like these stupid radio voices and everything's great. Or you're like, it would have been awesome if you came on here and like, SGC is the best. I would have been like, these guys were just ripping it like 3 weeks ago. This is bull crap. I like the transparency. I'm all about people disagreeing as long as they just actually speak. So, yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah,
well, that's the thing. You got all these hobby policemen out there, but there's more than one right way to hobby. And you're allowed to have your opinion, and as long as you're not scamming and taking advantage of people, do your thing.
Nope, I agree.
You don't have to be negative, bringing other people down, but do your thing and stay. Do what you want.
Yeah.
Yep,
so
I like it.
That's the one thing. That's what I put in my Instagram DM to you. We're just a couple guys from Jersey talking cards. We're honest and transparent, and we hold the line of what we say, and we just do the best we can to try to provide people information that's good for them.
I like it. No, like I said, I'm a fan of honest conversations. I don't really have a whole lot of time for the everything's wonderful and everything you do is great and all that, made up nonsense. So
it's one of the reasons why we've had a couple people approach us from the hobby to give us money. It's one of the reasons why we said no, because then we can rip whoever we want and not have to worry about pissing people off.
Just work it into the contract. You can still get paid and just tell them. I told you right now, that was one of the only things SGC was like, they said, there was this episode last April. It was like April 2nd. I called the guy, I called Peter, the president, live. He didn't answer. That was the day, April Fools, when they jacked their prices up.
Yeah.
And I told Jesse, I was like, you can scrap the notes today. Like, this company who he had never heard of, I was like, I'm going to lose my mind because it's the dumbest business decision I've ever seen in my life. And hobby people were like, oh, it's okay. I was like, this is ridiculous. So
yeah,
just put a little wordage in there. Like, you have complete control of content. Now sign the check. Then you say whatever you want.
There you go.
Win-win.
Yeah, we're still building, but hopefully we'll get there. All right, Mike. We're wrapping up with Mike Gio, Sports Card Nonsense Podcast. The podcast drops Mondays and Thursdays. YouTube video on Wednesdays, and then the app drops 5/5. We'll hopefully post some stuff on socials once we get our super special discount codes from Mike. Thank you, Mike. We really appreciate your time. Hopefully we can do this every couple months maybe and get you on here and talk cards.
For sure. Yeah, thanks, fellas.
All right.
All right, Mike. Thank you.
Take care.